Hello everybody, welcome back to Creating Hanley. Hello. My name is Kimberly. I am your host here today at Creating Hanley, and we're making this apple quilt block today. So this is Scrappy Postage Stamp because these little squares right here are 1 inch. So that means we need to cut 1.5 inch squares. So get out your scraps and let's make this apple. Now, this is a series. This is part 2 video in this series. The first video we did was a pear. So this one is an apple, the full pear and the full apple. Now, we have a couple more apples and they are going to be pieces. So we're going to get into that later. But right now, we're just going to make this nice, beautiful, scrappy postage stamp apple. And there may be patterns online somewhere. I don't know where. I did not follow a pattern. I just looked at a picture and I thought I could create that by using these teeny tiny little pieces. So what I did was half square triangles. A lot of these are half square triangles and 1.5 inch squares. So we made half square triangles here. Now, let's get back into what you're going to need. So, I wrote it down on my little paper, and this may or may not be easy for you to read, so I'm going to go over it right now with you, each piece. So now you need a stem. You only need one stem, and I cut mine from this color fabric. And you can use whatever color fabric you want. I'm making a red apple here, but you don't have to make a red apple. You can make a purple apple. You can make a turquoise apple. Whatever apple you want to make. Okay? Now, I found this scrap piece of like brownish, black, gray. So granite, looks like granite, whatever. So I'm using this color. You can use whatever color you want. Make sure it is 3¼ inches wide this way, 3¼ inches, and everything is going to be 1.5 inch tall because that is what we're doing today, postage stamp. So 3¼ inch by 1.5 inch, and that is to accommodate a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides and have a 1/4 inch showing. So a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides and then a 1/4 inch showing. Now, you can make it shorter if you want. You can make it more narrow or you can make it fatter. However that works in your apple is fine. But this is a sort of a good place to start, okay? So that is that. Now, for the leaf, you're going to need to make your half square triangles. And so what you want is 2 pieces for your leaf. So you need 1 2-inch green. Well, I'm using green for a leaf. You can use whatever, but I use 2-inch green. And then my background is this cream color, 2-inch. So you want them to be identical. 2-inch green and 2-inch background. Okay, that is what you're going to need. Now you're also going to need a 1.5 by 2.5 inch background, sort of something like this, to attach to the other side of the stem. Now I used 2 1.5 inch pieces, but you don't have to. You can make this more uniform if you want. So I did scrappy here, super scrappy. Everything in here was a 1.5 inch block. Now, if you want to shortcut it a little bit, make this 1.5 inch by 2.5 inches, okay? And that shortcuts it a little bit, but only by a little bit, okay? So that's that. Now, those ingredients make the top here. Now, for the rest of the apple, what you're going to need is 2 2-inch by 2-inch red, and 2 2-inch by 2-inch background. BG is background. And what that does is it creates these half square triangles. So you only need 2 red and you only need 2 background. And when you put them together, watch the pear video if you're unsure how to make a half square triangle. The pear video is an hour long. It shows you everything. If you're unsure and you're very new to sewing and you don't know how to make a half square triangle, check out that video, okay? I'll try to link it somewhere here I don't know. But that's how you make a half square triangle in that video. Otherwise, I already did it, and you can see you need 4 of them. So you get 2 from 1 unit. So that's why you only need 2 red and 2 background. Now you also need 4 1.5 by 1.5 for the red. I'm sorry, that's not 4. That should be 12. That is 12. I can't even read it backwards and upside down. That's 12, 1.5 by 1.5. And that is this, your whole inside. So you need 12 of these scrappy little guys, okay? 12, 1.5 by 1.5. 1.5 by 1.5, 12. So, whatever color you want, they don't have to all be red. You can make it whatever color you want. So now I have my 4 half square triangles done. I have my 12 apple colors in 1.5 inch. I have my leaf parts right here with the background going to be attached. Now I need, and that is everything. That is all the ingredients right here. Now you need a border. So I only did 1 inch. So here's my border, 1 inch. Now this measures, done, it measures 5.5, what does it measure? 5.5 across by 6.5 down. So I believe that makes this 4 inch by 5 inch. Let me see real quick, guys. Let's measure this out. Yes, this is 4 inches across from this seam to this seam without the border. It is 4 inches across, which means it was 4.5 inches unfinished, okay, because there is a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides, by 5, this is about a 5 1/4 inch up here. So all the way from this border to this border, 5 1/4 inch, which means raw, this was 5 3/4 inch. So 4.5 by 5 3/4. Now you put the extra 1 inch around. Now here's the thing. With this 1 inch, this is going to be smaller, a smaller border all the way around, because you're losing a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch on this side when you put it into your next block. So you're losing a 1/2 inch. So you're only going to have a 1/2 inch border showing. If that's what you want, fantastic. I just wanted a small border or a sashing around because I'm going to put it in with a bunch of other things. Now, you can make this. Now, what do you do with this, right? So, once you have this, and then, so let me back up a minute. Once you have all your components, once you have all your ingredients, you want to sew them in a specific order. Okay, so lay out your apple like this. Let's do this together. So, you lay out your apple. I'm going to put my leaf. You can put your leaf in either direction. I have my leaf going this way, but if you want to put your leaf over here, you do that. Okay? So I'm going to, here it is. Line this up like this. Now, you have to make sure that the leaf color goes in the correct order. Otherwise, it's not going to look right. Okay? So your leaf should look like this. You should create a sash, like a diagonal line. Not a line, but a diagonal pattern. And then your stem, and then your extra background. Okay? So that goes at the top. Now, you already have made your half square triangles, so you only need 2 for the top. Now, this is the top of the apple. This is the rounded part at the top. So the red goes to the inside of the apple. Now, just put whatever colors you want in here. Just put your 12 squares on the inside here. And however you want to line them up, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Just throw them all in there. Now, for this, you can see I have 2. So the top is half square triangle, and only 2 squares. And then the second row is 4 squares. And then the third row is 4 squares. And then the fourth row is the same as the top. 2 half square triangles and 2. So here's my second row. Here's my third row. Now my fourth row, I put, again, the arrows of the half square triangles to the center towards the apple to create that rounded bottom. And then you just put your remaining two half square triangle, or I'm sorry, the remaining two squares at the bottom there. Okay? And this is your apple. And then once you sew these together, then you can sew your borders on last. Now, when you sew the borders on, or the sashing, sew one side and then the other two. So I would probably sew the top and the bottom on first, and then sew the sides together. Okay? All right, and then how you do that is you want to sew everything together in a row, in a row, in a row, in a row, and then you sew the rows together. Okay? And then you get this beautiful apple right here. Okay? Hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, go watch the pear video. Like I said, it's an hour long. It covers everything, including some mistakes. So check that out. If you're unsure about how to put it together, just do this part and then always refer back to here. So you see how you put your layout, and then just know that everything needs to go together, okay? Everything needs to go together this way, and then you can put it together that way. I would say you could potentially go in columns like this if you want to, but that doesn't work for the stem. You have to put your stem unit together. And once you have your stem unit together, then you could potentially put these together in columns, and then put your columns together, and then stick this stem unit onto that, and then put the top and bottom sash and the side sashes on. Top and bottom first, and then the side sashes. Make sure you square everything up along the way. You guys, have fun with this. Let me know in the comments how it turns out, what colors you used, and I will see you on the next video for other patterns. All right, you guys, have fun with this. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.